Hello viewers, I'm RedTwo and I'm very pleased to have you join me on the latest leg of our scenic tour through the Johto region in Pokemon Gold version. As a quick recap on our last day's adventuring, the entire episode was pretty much Leon taking on a range of contenders on Route 35. He handled himself admirably, mainly due to Kadabra's excellent special attack, and beat all comers with great ease. Today's episode is actually going to be a bit different. I will be showing a highlights package of the various disasters I encountered at the bug catching contest during my practice run. Sit back and enjoy some post-commentary and ridiculous moments.
This is actually the second time I've done the voiceover for this project. For whatever reason, the music and commentary I had were deleted. I had the base video, but I didn't have the extra commentary and the extra music, which is really annoying. I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I have some sort of backing music, because just repeating the bug catching contest music would be pretty annoying. I suppose it's only fair given that this video is actually full of fiascos. I still have a bit of trimming to do. I'll have edited a few things down, and I apologise for having the bits that sort of dragged on too long. Anyway, we started out full of promise. This was in the previous lot of recordings. I'd actually recorded things beforehand, but then decided to redo things with better mic technique. You will notice that I'm using a better microphone now. So we started off ready to go, and we battled a Weedle. I want to catch it for its Pokedex entry. Simple, right? Well, no. This is a Pokemon LP. Which means that at the worst possible time, status conditions pop up. Being poisoned is a death sentence in the bug catching contest. You can't heal, and I just have my HP constantly drained looking for Pokemon. It would get worse each turn. So I caught Weedle, the hairy bug Pokemon. Its poison stinger is very powerful. Its bright coloured body is intended to ward off its enemies. So we caught Weedle, but I decided this was not going to be very good footage. I had to try again. I think I had to go and do everything on Route 35 again too, for some reason. Anyway, what you're seeing here is a highlight reel of the Dream Run. This was where everything worked. I caught Venonat really easily, and we'll see its Pokedex entry. Venonat, the insect Pokemon. Its eyes also function as radar units. It catches and eats small bugs that hide in darkness. So, I'd caught Kakuna as well. I apologise for not showing its Pokedex entry. And then I caught Beedrill fairly easily, only 2 Park Balls. Now, I'm a real downer on Park Balls. They're essentially glorified Great Balls. Which means if you want to get Pokemon at full health, you really have to gamble. So I've seen Beedrill's Pokedex entry, I've talked over that, but your Pokemon will lose points if they're damaged. I think they lose points for having status conditions as well. So Beedrill's all set there, and you basically just have to throw and hope. Torches suffered a bit, but Pinsir actually went down pretty easily. We caught it in only 2 Park Balls, as you'll see. This was incredibly surprising, because I don't trust them at all. My favourite catching item is the Dusk Ball. I play at night a lot because I'm usually fairly busy during the day, and as a result, Dusk Balls just work better for me. In fact, today's been fairly busy as well, so I apologise if my voice is a little hoarse. Pinsir, the Stag Beetle Pokemon. With its horns, it digs burrows to sleep in at night. In the morning, damp soil clings to its body. So yes, I've been out at a card game tournament, and of course there's a lot of talking explaining what you're doing there, so my voice is probably a little bit sore. It was a short tournament as a qualifier for a competition nearby. I made the top 8, unfortunately lost in the first round of that, but I did pretty well. It's for the Cardfight Vanguard TCG, which is my favourite, been playing it for a fair while, and my trusty Granblue deck did alright. Anyway, we can see the scores here. somehow the Venonat got third, but I actually won. Everything worked smoothly. Right up until something went wrong with the emulator and things locked up. Even though I'd saved after doing the bug catching contest, for some reason the game deleted all the data that I'd acquired since starting at the beginning of that recording session. Everything on Route 35, gone. Bug catching contest, gone. Sunstone, gone. To say I was livid was putting it mildly. So I had to go and do things again. I found a pincer first off. Now, I wanted to make a whole episode out of it, so I did something kind of stupid. It took me a while to catch pincer, but I did actually catch it. I decided to start again because I wanted to make an episode out of it and Torture was beaten up. We'll cut to the point where I actually catch pincer. So, this wraps that whole saga up. We finally managed to catch pincer after this little exchange. I probably should have kept going, but for some reason, because I wanted to make a whole episode out of it, I didn't. I could have got a Sunstone, I could have had a great Pokemon. And we're going through Pincer's Pokedex entry again. I'm sorry about that, because I decided to just quit. I'm an idiot. And then we had a fiasco with Weedle when I tried again. It was like the game was saying, yeah, you really should have stuck with that, because it took me about 9 Park Balls to catch this Weedle. Admittedly, I don't think you really want to see me fail that much. So, basically, we'll cut away from Weedle because that was just kind of pathetic. The fail that comes next, on the other hand, is a genuinely spectacular one. I'm surprised happened and do want to share with you. So yeah, 9 Park Balls to catch a Weedle. Weedle's catch rate gives it a 1 in 3 chance of being caught by a Pokeball at full HP. Great Balls and Park Balls have a 1.5 catch rate multiplier, so I basically lost a coin flip 8 times in a row. Anyway, this is the spectacular failure. Now, most of them aren't great anyway. I'm not sure what the right term for that was, but this, among failures, was pretty outstanding. Butterfree refused to cooperate. And when I say refused to cooperate, I really, really mean it. It's about the only Pokemon that could do serious damage to Ruby. Confusion pretty much tears her apart because she has poor special defense. Now, I'm at a higher level, but unfortunately Ruby is still taking a bit of damage. I can't do much about that. I can't heal or anything like that. I just have to roll with it. So again, Butterfree pops out. And it uses Poison Powder. This is why I started giving my Pokemon Poison Cure Berries. I don't mind if they've got Stun Spore on them, I don't mind if Sleep Powder's used on them, because I'm trying to catch the Pokemon. But Butterfree breaks out again and Ruby goes to sleep. And you'll see it quickly jump from 15 to 10 in a very smooth cut. So yeah, Butterfree is still not cooperating. I've used 16, 17 with this one. Ruby's taken another confusion and that Butterfree is still refusing to go in the damn ball. I used up all of them. All 20 failed to catch one Butterfree. This is why I don't like Safari games, because they're basically a luck-based mission turned up to 11. And when it comes to luck-based missions, things go badly for me. I'm the guy who can be 2 spaces away from a star in Mario Party, will roll 1, and somebody else will just sweep in and take it. If there's some sort of misfortune to happen in Mario Party, or whatever, it usually happens to me. And not just Mario Party, other things like the luck-based elements of Vanguard tend to backfire on me. I wind up getting those unfortunate critical hits in Fire Emblem, which I love, but you've got to treat a 1% crit chance like a 30% crit chance if the AI has it. That said, my luck's not too bad, all things considered. I could be genuinely unlucky and have much more trouble in my life, so I suppose when I complain, there are things that are much more worthy to complain about, and I don't have as much to complain about if I'm going to be really honest. But anyway, on this run, we caught Venonat fairly easily. Skip its Pokédex entry. At least the benefit of hindsight is I can see what needs to be trimmed when doing this, and I really did leave way too much in. I had good luck and found Beedrill though. You are going to see Beedrill later on as the Spotlight Pokemon. I think I left space for the Spotlight in this particular recording because I couldn't decide between Venonat or Beedrill. I wasn't sure if I'd find Beedrill, but I knew I'd probably find Venonat. I like Venomoth and I like Beedrill, so pretty good choices. Anyway, Torch is getting beaten up a bit by Fury Attack. And let's see what we have. No luck there. Interesting note. In Generation 1, if the first blow of a multi-hit move scored a critical hit, every subsequent blow would also be a critical hit. This wouldn't happen if a later blow was a critical hit. Just some of the odd little mechanics they had in that generation. You can tell Gold and Silver improved a lot, but even then they still needed a bit of polishing along the way. They got rid of most of the glitches and things, but it was in Ruby and Sapphire that the series really developed in technical terms. That was why you couldn't connect to the Generation 2 games, because basically all the internal programming and everything was just so different. I think we can cut Beedrill's Pokédex entry out. So yeah, switch to Beedrill. And as I was saying, there are massive technical differences along the way. They completely revamped things like the individual value and effort value system for one thing. And I don't understand absolutely everything, but they changed things like what determined Pokemon being shiny, how gender was determined, things like that. Because interestingly, it depends on the Pokemon, but shiny Pokemon don't always have great stats. They have to have a certain number of values, being 10 I think for their individual values. There's a bit more that goes into it than that. I'd have to do a lot of research to get the information, but basically it meant, oddly enough, that in some cases if a Pokemon had a 7-to-1 male to female ratio, like the starters, females could never be shiny because females actually had much lower values in their attack stat in that case. They might only have like 0 or 1 individual values in that stat. I'm not 100% accurate, so do feel free to call me out if I screw things up there. Anyway, after trying to catch Butterfree in the regular way, I got fed up and decided I'll just grab its Pokédex entry. Because it's broken out of, what, 24 consecutive balls now? So after a bit of frustration, we throw and we hope. And there we are. Butterfree is caught. And we actually do get to see its Pokédex entry. Butterfree, the butterfly Pokemon. It collects honey every day. It rubs honey on the hairs on its legs to carry it back to its nest. Because Butterfree is damaged, I can't use it. It will get me lower points. Not that it mattered in this situation. And this was why I started to think the bug catching contest was rigged. I mentioned Vanguard earlier, and I'm pretty convinced the Mega Colony, the Insect Mafia, was rigging the contest against me. How did I lose to a Metapod of all things? I should have at least got third place. I still cannot believe that. It still ticks me off. Anyway, we're going to see Beedrill's Spotlight. Sure. Actually, no, we're not going to see Beedrill's Spotlight. because we're going to see the next attempt I had. I decided to try again at a later date just to get some better footage and see how well I could do. I found Scyther. This is a very good Pokemon to have because it learns False Swipe. You want to catch Pokemon? Bring a Scyther along. Scyther's improved a little bit as the generations have gone on and better bug moves have become available to it. And on top of that, it can benefit from the Eviolite, overcoming its kind of iffy typing to actually be fairly bulky if you want to focus on its defences. It'll still hit pretty hard, but it's worth noting that Scyther will play differently depending whether or not it's evolved, because Scyther and Caesar actually have the same base stat total, they're just distributed differently. Caesar has more attack and defense, but it's a fair bit slower. And Scyther actually does have reasonable defenses, they're base 80 apiece. So if you want to do something odd, focus on its defenses and give it an Eviolite in later generations, you might actually have a fairly bulky Pokemon on your hands. Of course, its defensive typing still won't be fantastic. But as you can see, I'm trying to stop it hurting me by using accuracy lowering moves. You can laugh now. Trying to lower the AI's accuracy in any RPG doesn't work. If your accuracy drops even a little bit, basically, you start missing in a fashion that would make stormtroopers cringe. With the AI, you can basically shroud it in mist that makes it impossible to see. You can blindfold it. You can gouge its eyes out. You can even negate echolocation or other means of finding where something is, and it will hit you. Almost every single time. It might have one token miss to make sure you actually think your spells are working, but it will mostly just obliterate you. Rare is the RPG where status moves are actually useful. Etrian Odyssey is a great example because you have to master status moves and things like that, or you will suffer. Anyway, Scyther finally misses, and we are desperate to get our hands on it. And we catch it. Took a lot of work, but we're ready to get it judged after the Pokédex entry. Scyther, the Mantis Moon. Well done me, past me, at least keep the Pokédex entry on screen for a bit longer, I forgot about that. Of course, this was rigged. Again. I came second. And the Scyther that won had a much, much higher score than mine. I'm pretty convinced it was rigged at this point, and I didn't go back and do it because I started again. But now is the point we're going to see Beedrill's spotlight, because this is the run with the team I'm currently using in the main recording. So I get my crappy Everstone, and here's Beedrill.
Here's something that might surprise you a little. Beedrill is actually my favourite bug-type Pokemon. It's not the greatest in battle since it has all the problems of those early game bug Pokemon, but I've just always liked its design. I like the multi-hit moves and consider it a wasted opportunity that Beedrill didn't get Skill Link. And there's now even more to appreciate with its fearsome Mega Evolution. In a regular run, Beedrill will start to falter earlier than Butterfree does because Butterfree has all those status moves, which make it handy for catching Pokemon. Beedrill is mainly an offensive force, so it will do a bit of damage, but as the opponents get stronger, it's going to fall away. Nevertheless, its Mega Evolution is well worth it, and I just like having it around, sort of like Furret. I have used it on teams from time to time, even though it doesn't really see much play in the end game. It's still just fun to use. That's what it's all about in the end. I have a go with my favourite Pokemon, and will try them out from time to time. Even if they're not the most fantastic in battle, I still have fun using them, and that's why Pokemon like Beedrill tend to be some of my favourites.
And with that done, of course we're going to try and catch it. It's dealt a fair bit of damage to us, as you can see. but finally caught it. I also took a little bit of time to do some level grinding with Torture because Ember takes care of things pretty easily. And there's Beedrill's Pokedex entry again, I'm sorry about that. So we have Kakuna again, which doesn't get its Pokedex entry on screen, I'm sorry about that. And then I accidentally used Ember on a Scyther. I don't know why I thought it would survive that. I'm an idiot, basically. We wrap things up by trying to catch Venonat as well. I'm probably going to spare you this. And then we finally won. The competition had an off day and I won with Beedrill. After so long, we broke the stranglehold of the Mafia. And I still have that Sunstone. I haven't been able to use it on anything. I did want to use Sunkern, but I want a level 10 Sunkern. The reason I want it is so it can actually learn, I think it's Giga Drain? Oh no, wait, it's Razor Leaf. And I decided to reference Donkey Kong Country 2. My Beedrill is named King Zing, as you will see later on. Unfortunately, because I'm a fan of a range of other Let's Players, I kept referencing a Beedrill used by Tom Fawkes and keep calling him King Sting. The boss fight is King Zing's Sting, but anyway, that wraps it up, and I'll see you in the next one.